Yeah. Cool.
Welcome to Art's Place, conservative talk from a different view. From the Casablanca studio in Golden, Colorado. Hosted by Art Carlson. At 4'6", liberals fear him, and conservatives love him. He's definitely a giant among men. Now, here's your host, Art Carlson.
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another great episode of Art's Place. We've got a lot to talk about today. I'm going to talk about Tom Tancredo's observation on the big student walkout last Wednesday. We'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about the students who ransacked a Walmart during the walkout, and my thoughts of these minds, these young skulls full of mush. Later on, we'll talk about cryptocurrencies taking a big beating this week. We'll talk about that and how you could still make money in cryptocurrencies. And if we have time, we will talk about drone flying as a hobby and as a business. So stay tuned. All right, let's see how we're doing over here on YouTube. Boy, it doesn't look too good on Facebook. It says my stream health is not good. All right, well, be that as it may, let's get going. All right, Bridget, thanks for joining the show, and Jay Ledbetter, thank you for coming to the show. I am going to read a statement that Tom Tancredo, a former congressman from Colorado, and his thoughts of the student walkout for gun control. Alright, so let's switch over here. And this is what Tom had written. Right, let me get a little more comfortable here. Alright. He starts off by saying the Denver Post went gaga over the student walkouts and implied the participation rate was massive. Here is what we learned. At Columbine High School, site of the mass shooting in 1999, we learned that 100 students walked out of class. That is 100 students out of an enrollment of over 1,600, or 6% of the students walked out of class. That's 100 that is 100 out of a student enrollment, okay, alright, of over 1,600, or 6% of the students. Simple math tells us that 94% of the students did not walk out. At South High School, an enrollment of 1,595, about 300 students walked out, or less than 20%. Over 80% did not walk out. Arapahoe High School, site of a shooting in 2014, about 300 walked out with an enrollment of 2,100. 85% of the students chose not to walk out. Cherokee Trails High School in Aurora saw about 250 students walk out, with less than 10% of the 2,700 enrollment. So, across the metropolitan area, from 6% to 20% of high school students walked out of class. But 80 to 94 students chose not to walk out of class. That means on average, 88% of high school students chose not to spend 17 minutes of their school day shouting, "Hey, hey, the NRA, how many students died or did you kill today?" As a few hundred Cherokee high school students did at their rally, while 2,500 other Cherokee high school students stayed in class. But of those 88% who stayed in class, were not featured in the Denver Post front page story. Maybe the real story is the one not yet written. Also, if there's requirement for being allowed to walk out was that the student had to write a coherent one-paragraph analysis of the Second Amendment, or maybe just spell amendment correctly. There would have been a few, if any, of the kids on the streets. Now, Tom makes a really good point. I wonder what the numbers were at other cities around the nation. I bet it would vary greatly, depending on how conservative that state is. And that, like, for example, California, can you imagine what happened in LA or San Francisco? Boy, there'd be a lot of students walking out. Or Chicago. It's just amazing how these kids are being manipulated by their liberal-minded teachers. But I will talk about that a little later. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go to here we go. Alright, so evidently Chicago students trashed a Walmart during the walkout over gun violence. Chicago police are trying to identify the dozens of students from Simeon Career Academy who they say took part in the vandalism spree while they were supposed to be protesting guns. Shoppers and the store employees were stunned by the destruction Wednesday morning at the Walmart in Chatham Market on the south side. Chicago police say it started when students at a neighboring Simeon Career Academy were allowed to leave school for 17 minutes to take part in a nationwide walkout to protest guns. Police say that between 40 and 60 of those students crossed the street and trashed parts of the store, knocking over product displays, yanking items off the shelf, breaking packages, and stealing small items like chips and candy. In a statement, Chicago Public School spokesperson says, "We are very concerned by these allegations and we are reviewing the matter." Some of the students at Fox 32 talked to at Simeon say they're angry that a walkout intended to promote peace instead led to vandalism and violence. Fox 32 showed the video to 21st Ward Alderman Howard Brookins, who was instrumental in getting big box retailers to move to the south side. We've been working hard to try to get these national retailers here in our community, and it doesn't help us and makes no sense to tear up the community which you call home, he said. A Chicago police spokesman says they're interviewing what he calls high-quality video surveillance from Walmart to identify the students at fault, as well as the videos posted on social media. He says those students are likely to be charged with misdemeanors and face discipline from the schools. So there you have it. You have unruly kids taking advantage of a walkout to destroy public property. And this is the thing that gets me, are these people that live in low-income neighborhoods, and a big box retailer comes in, opens up a store there that hires a lot of people in that neighborhood, decide, hey, let's go trash that place. And you wonder why a lot of big box retailers are reluctant to go into or open stores in these areas. I mean, these stores are great for the community, but you have people that they just don't get it. They go in and then they trash the place. And then once those businesses finally just throw up their arms and say, hey, it's not worth having a store here, we're going to close up and move out. And then these people will wonder why, gee, how come we don't have any jobs here? Well, folks, you screwed it up by destroying the very businesses that are trying to work in your neighborhood and to bring you products at a good price and to hire people so that they could earn money, so they could better their situation, whether they earn enough money to move to a better neighborhood, or foot's falling asleep. There we go. Or move to a better either apartment complex or a better place to live at. All right, we got a good group of people here, and so that's the story. And why teachers at this academy would let these kids out? Well, these people are of a liberal mindset who they don't want guns. They think guns are bad. And it's like, you know what? England has made it to where you can't own a firearm, yet their gun violence has risen by over 40%. So how do you figure that? How's that happening? Nobody's supposed to own guns, yet the gun violent rate is going up. Well, with states that have conservative gun rights, like Florida, to where you could have a concealed carry permit, gun violence rates have gone down. Just look at Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore, where they have some of the strictest gun control laws on the books, and they have the highest gun violent rates in the nation. I saw an interesting statistic the other day that says that it shows the United States is ranked really high for gun violence. However, if you take out all the major cities that have the highest gun violent races, then we fall down to almost to the lowest numbers as Switzerland. Because in Switzerland, everyone owns a gun. Everyone is part of the military. And that's why they have a very low rates of crimes with guns. And so it really kills me when I hear some of these kids spout off simplistic slogans like are you hey President Trump, why don't you prove that you're not in the pocket of the NRA, or stop gun violence, get rid of the guns, and stuff like that. You know what? I like to talk to these kids and tell them, hey, why don't you talk to someone who was a Holocaust survivor and ask them how gun control worked out for them? Because right after Hitler assumed power, over time he took away the people's rights to own a gun and made their civilian population defenseless to the government. And part of the reason we have the Second Amendment is why we broke away from England. Because they knew that if you don't allow civilians to own guns, then the government becomes tyrannical and starts dictating to the folks. You must do this, you must do that, and then those people are defenseless. So this is comes to my observation. This is I posted this on Facebook, where I talked about March 14th, the day of young skulls full of mush walk out of school for gun violence or gun control. And someone said, why do you say skulls full of mush? Well, I'm not saying all of them are young skulls full of mush, but if you think about it, these kids are in a educational environment where they are learning about things so that they could become a productive citizen when they leave high school or go to college or trade school. But now schools have become indoctrination centers. And what's the best place to make the populace more liberal? You start with the children. Lenin and Stalin knew that, and that's why they started the Pioneers Club in the Soviet Union. And they still do this in China, where they teach the kids that, hey, government is here to take care of you, blah, 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 so do what we say, and all that neat stuff. And now these kids are being indoctrinated into a liberal ideas. Now a lot of kids think, hey, socialism would be really cool. Capitalism is bad. Look, is capitalism the best economic system in the world? No, it isn't. Is it perfect? No, but it's the best one in the world. Yeah, you look at all the countries that have tried socialism or communism, they've all failed. I mean, look at China. They're still technically communists, but they're moving away from the communist model, and they are moving towards more of a market economy, because their problem is they have a large population, and they gotta keep these people busy, so they ship them off to the factories that make the goods that we buy, and that helps China so that they have the money to feed all those, that, what is it, 1.5 billion people there now? They got a lot of people there that they gotta take care of. Otherwise, if they don't, then you'll have uprisings, and it'll be a big mess for the government over there. Look at Venezuela, falling apart. You got people, they're actually going to the zoo, and they're killing off all the animals in the zoo because they're starving. Nobody is feeding the animals at the zoo because they can't afford to. And people are going through dumpsters and garbage looking for food. The people there are hurting really bad, and they're fleeing the country. While Maduro sits up in his palace eating empanadas like there's no tomorrow. Look at Cuba. Most of the people work on collective farms, and others have their own little niche little markets where they sell their products, and that money goes to the government. Even Vietnam, they were under communism, and now they're moving towards more of a market society. So why are these countries doing that? Well, because they all know that communism just does not work. Alright, I'm going to flip over here. Alright, we got, okay, nobody on. There's one person watching. Okay. So, one of these days I'm going to learn how to where I get split the screen, and I can watch what's going on Facebook and on YouTube, rather than messing around like I am right here. So that's why I call them young skulls full of mush. And also, you gotta remember, at that age, kids, their brain is still growing. They're still, learning things. And think of the brain as like jello. I mean, it's gelatinous, really. And so they are pliable. It's like, okay. Steve Epstein has a good line. What is the number one name for dogs in Venezuela? Empanada. Yeah, that's good, Steve. So, I mean, the human brain doesn't stop forming until the age of 25. That's why the military likes to take young men, preferably, but women as well, as young as 18 on up to 25. That's their range of what they think make good soldiers. So, I mean, I'm becoming a stepfather here. And now I'm starting to deal with a teenage boy, and he's just doing the usual teenage stuff where, skipping school and all that. And so I'm talking to him and say, hey, you can't do that. That's just not right. So, and that's how it is. It's like a lot of kids, kids in high school, they're impulsive and they're impressionable. They want to please their teacher. They're impressionable. They want to please, impress their teacher, And what are they getting at? I like the line how some of these teachers say, oh, we're teaching them critical thinking skills. Well, critical thinking is learning how to gather data and take data from opposing sides and kind of compare and contrast which side has the most benefits versus deficits. That's what critical thinking is all about. No, their idea of critical thinking is only, thinking one way. That liberal ideas are benevolent and thoughtful and loving. Conservative ideas are bad. They're hateful. They're mean and they're evil. And we can't have that. And we could go on to media and how this whole thing has evolved over the 50 plus years that I've been around, and my observations on how we got here. When I was a, high school young man, I used to think, oh, well, those Democrats, they want the same thing we want. We want to better the country. But they just have a different way of going about it. Now I'm getting to, it's gotten to the point where My views are held in contempt. I'm evil. I'm sexist. I'm misogynist. I'm homophobic. I'm xenophobic. And how do you compete with that? How do you rebut that? Well, you got to rebut that by pointing out the failures of liberalism, and you got to get the truth out. You gotta. It's like what Donald Trump is doing. You gotta point out that this is fake news. This is opinion that's being sold as fact and as news, which really isn't. So, if we want to fix things, we've got to start at the source. We need to start with education. And we've been trying to do that, but we've got weak-kneed Republicans that fold and allow these teacher union types take over these school boards. And I mean, what can you do? Like here in Jefferson County, we had a conservative controlled school board, yet we had a squishy Republican clerk and recorder who said, yeah, even though what they say in that petition is full of baloney, but we'll let it go on the ballot. Even though that we have a state statute that expressly prohibits false and misleading petitions from going on to the ballot. But that's another story. What I would like to see happen is how the liberals did it back in the 60s. I know this is going to be really hard because conservative people, we work for a living. We can't take time off to go do a sit-in at a school or a university. But maybe that's what needs to be done. Or we need to start having demonstrations like we did with the Tea Party. We need to take back our universities, especially the teachers' schools, so that we can stop all this baloney about these teaching practices that stymie conservative thought and embrace liberal thoughts and shuts out any other opposing view. Now we're making some strides. We have passed legislations that does away with these what are these speech codes and what these spaces where safe spaces where you can only go to give your speech. And also what I like to see is whenever there is a conservative speaker invited to speak at a college campus, that if you have unruly students that try to shout down that speaker, remove them. It is really easy. All you have to do is you have security people and you just grab these people and take them out. We gotta stop letting these students dictate who or what can be heard on college campuses. And we need to do something about these teaching colleges. These colleges that have journalism classes. We need to revamp that. We need to, hey, if we want to get tuition back under control, stop allowing these faculty members coming up with some kooky course to teach that has no bearing on what the student is trying to learn or to get their to learn about their discipline. You know, like say you're going in and you want to study business administration or accounting, finance, management. Get rid of what I call basket weaving classes, like women's studies, black studies, Latino studies. Let's get rid of them. And you do that, you're going to lower the cost of going to school. Keep the classes that truly have some merit, you know, like photography, art classes, jewelry making, you know. Keep stuff like that. But get rid of these unnecessary classes like what I just spoke about. And that is part of the reason why colleges are getting expensive. And then that, and plus the government is involved in financing these student loans, and that's driving up the cost of education, because the schools figure, hey, we're getting all this free money from the government. Hey, let's just jack up the price. So we gotta stop doing crazy stuff like that. Then once we do that, and then we can work on the primary education system, such as elementary school and to high school. And we gotta bring back trade schools. When I went to school in Royal Oak, Michigan, we had this school called C of A. And it was a vocational school, and I had a choice of whether to go there or, you know, go to a regular college. And, you know, if we brought back some of those, and some of the shop classes in high school, they're all gone. We don't have auto mechanic classes. We don't even have wood shop. We don't have metal shop. Have a high school course on carpentry. How to make frames for a house. And stuff like that. Teach a skill to a kid that once he graduates high school, he's got a skill that'll earn him money right away. Maybe some beginning plumbing classes, plumbing, HVAC, and stuff like that. And there's a whole bunch of new technologies coming out there on the market that we could be teaching these kids. Alright, so let's get into another topic. Cryptocurrencies, they've been taking a beating in the last couple weeks. And Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and the other cryptocurrencies have been taking a big beating. But in one respect is, if you're kind of new at this and you're at the right place to get in, this is when these cryptocurrencies are cheap now. And now you could buy some crypto coins and build up your portfolio and just sit there and watch it grow, because it's not going to go down forever, because I believe that cryptocurrency, that's the future. And there are other aspects to cryptocurrencies like blockchain and smart contracts, and there are new things coming out that are really on the forefront of technology that can really shake up things. Now, there are two ways you could invest. That's a good old buy and hold, or buy and trade. There's a place that I go to. It's called Coinbase. You set up an account where you can take money from your bank account or credit card, and you can make purchases of, they've got like 4 or 5 different coins that you can buy right at the moment. And that may change down the road. They might add more currencies to their list. But these are the most popular. And Litecoin is one, there's Ethereum, there's Bitcoin is the big one, and then there's Bitcoin Cash, which is it's an offshoot of Bitcoin, to where, and if you think about it, it's kind of like a split in the if you think in terms of commodities and trading in the stock market, where you have a split, it's very similar to that, without getting all really technical and stuff. Something I want to throw out, I'm not a financial advisor. This is all just opinion. I could be totally wrong, so don't say, hey, Art says this and that. It's like, hey, I'm just giving you information, and do what you will with it, and hopefully you'll do well. Another way you could earn cryptocurrency is what's called mining, and that was the old-fashioned way. And you could take one of your old computers, like I have right here. You could turn that into a mining machine. And what it is you set it up with a program that mines coins, and basically what it is, it's a set of protocols that it goes through, and each one that's completed, you get rewarded with a coin or a fraction of a coin. You could do it by yourself, or you could belong to what's called a pool, where you have several people working together, and that way they get use the efficiency of many machines to solve these problems faster, and then the money gets put into that pool, and then that money gets split up amongst the members of the pool. So, and there are two ways that you can mine. You can mine by sheer CPU processing. That's one way to do it. Or you could do it with your graphics card. That's the most efficient, because with the graphics card you can go faster and faster. That, like these gaming PCs, the reason they are so fast is because their graphic cards are so efficient that they're able to take that data from the internet and convert it into a online video game. So, now here's the drawback. Your mining machine will need power. It'll need to be on 24/7. And depending on how you set it up, it will take a lot of power. Now, with just a simple PC approach, you'll probably come out ahead. It'll take a month or two to make enough money to cover the cost of the video card that you just added to increase the computing power of your machine. Nowadays what they do is these guys, they set up a rig to where they have like a whole bunch of video cards in the motherboard, and that is on all the time, and with that many cards, that's going to generate a lot of heat, and it's going to take a lot of electricity to run. So, and those kind of rigs, they could cost you anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 or $4,000. You can really spend a lot of money if you do this. Also, there's another way, what they call cloud mining, and that's where you can become a member of the pool using cloud mining. That's a whole new area that I'm just learning about that. So, and that just opens up a whole new realm of investments. So that's, I'm just showing you another way of making money. Now, beware of some people that are scamming people. You gotta do your homework when you're investing in cryptocurrencies. Be sure to read all the information about that certain coin, and make sure that, does this sound legit, or is this just another fly-by-night scheme? Who knows? But There's several websites out there. Where is my phone? Oh, I get on my cell phone during the week. It's called Cryptocurrency exchange. Go over here. Check my Gmail. Bear with me. Okay, it's called Crypto Compare. Crypto Market Update. And this gives you a market analysis report, and it'll give you updates on the at first it'll give you the most common coins out there, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then it gives you some stories like 3 South Korean crypto exchanges raided for diverting funds. And that might be part of the reason why the market has been taking a hit lately. Here's another one. Brazilian prison officials caught in 22.4 million Bitcoin fraud. Wow. And then later it says state of the crypto, and it gives you the market rate for other coins such as Ripple, Zcash, Dash, IOTA, Monero, Neo, Stratus, Cardano, NIM, and so forth. And what I have done is I'm just taking little baby steps. I put in a few bucks here and there, and just kind of watch it and see how it's doing. All right, let's get into the last topic. And that is, okay. I'm going to talk about drone flying as a hobby and as a business. And I'm going to show you one of my drones. This is my little bad boy right here. This is my Phantom 3 Standard. And I got this guy on eBay, and I did some modifications. I bought what's called a gimbal guard, so that if I make a hard landing, if there's any debris underneath, it's not going to damage the camera. And I've also got a camera lock on it, so that when the craft is not working, that the camera's not going to flop around and maybe get damaged if picking it up. But the price of these they're fairly reasonable right now, and if you want to get into the business, this is a good starting drone to use. It's got a pretty decent camera. It's a 2.7K video camera, so it's pretty darn good for videography out in the field, or if you want to go do a real estate gig where someone calls you up and says, hey, we'd like you to come out and video this property that we have, and you can make a few bucks doing that. And this craft has GPS, so makes flying so much better because you don't have to worry about, because you're not constantly on the controls to keep it steady. Otherwise, the wind will just knock you all over the place. It's got other, and what you do is on the controller, you have your cell phone or a tablet that's attached to your remote control, and you can see what the camera sees. There's a slight delay, but it gives you all kinds of information like what your height is, how far away you are from the controller. It's got other options where you could set up an orbit. You can say, all right, this is the point of interest, and I want this to circle around in this diameter. And you set up the settings, that, hit the button, let it go, and then the craft by itself will circle around, and you'll get some really good footage that way, and it'll all look professional and steady. But if you are going to make money with your drone, you have to have your FAA Part 107 drone certification, which I am studying right now. I'm about a third of the way through all of the course I'm taking right now. Once I'm done with that and have studied enough, gone over all the questions and stuff, then what I do is I take the test that will certify me as a pilot. And I will most likely take that exam up at Front Range Airport here in Jefferson County. And it's $150 to take the exam, so that's not too bad. But if I could easily just go ahead and get a pilot's license to fly an aircraft. But that might be something that I might consider down the road. Now, these things are a lot of fun. There are different kinds of drones. Like, you see in the background, you see my black one back here. That's my Bugs 3. That is like a real basic drone. Doesn't have GPS, so you gotta have some really good skills to fly that bad boy. And it has a thing where you can attach your GoPro or your GoPro-like camera to it. And GoPro does have Wi-Fi on it, so you can use your cell phone to see what it sees. But GoPro has a limited range, so but this thing is pretty fast, so you could use it for if you want to do some obstacle course flying or races. Then you see my other drone that looks just like this guy. That's a project drone where I'm doing some repairs on to get it into flying condition. I could turn around and sell it. So, one of the requirements you absolutely need to get a drone pilot's license is you need to understand, read, and speak English. That's a requirement. And I had posted that on Facebook, a month or so ago, and somebody was complaining, they'll figure a way to change that to accommodate foreigners. And nope, not going to happen, because English is the standard language of all aviation right now. No matter where you go in the world, every pilot must learn, understand, and speak English. It's the universal language of aviation right now. So that's why that won't change. All right. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. We're going to work hard to bring you some more exciting information, and hopefully this has been entertaining and informative. So we've got assemblies coming up here in Colorado. We've got our county assembly, and then we got our congressional assemblies, and then finally the state assembly, which will be in April. Sadly, I won't be able to go to any of those. Maybe I will go as a vlogger and do some recording if they will allow me to. Then I could add this to the show, or to a vlog that I could post on Facebook and on YouTube. So until next time, you guys have a great weekend, and see you next week. Bye-bye.